So this is live at noon. So this is Maritime Noon.
Your worship,
You're on.
Okay, call to order. Good. Any declarations of conflict of interest?
Yeah, Your Worship, I do on, it's Councilor Rivera here on the Towers Road.
Okay, can you note that, Cindy? Is that it? Okay, approval of agenda. We have,
Can I ask that we move, it's Councilor Rivera again, can I
Yes.
ask to move the A to C at the end, that way I don't have to call back in?
is that all right?
Wait to see where we're going.
Is that good? Good. Okay, so I need a change, so A becomes C, C becomes A.
Just put A at the end, your worship, and then everything just
Oh,
slides
I
up.
got it. Our old teacher days,
So
switching
it
letters.
goes B, C, and A, your worship.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Moved by Councillor McLeod, second by Councillor Ramsey. All those in favor, please raise your hand.
Aye.
1, 2,
Yes.
yes?
Yes.
Councillor Drawn?
Yes.
Councillor Rivera?
Yeah.
Councillor Twill? Yea or nay, Councillor Twill?
I said yes.
Okay, okay, we can move on. So can we go,
Just for clarity also, your worship, when we get to item A, we will need to move into.
well, we'll explain that to when we get there. Okay, so is that all right?
Yes, your worship.
Is it Mr. Forbes doing B?
Yes.
Is that what we're gonna do, Councillor McLeod?
Yes.
You wanna yield to the manager?
Yes, I'll yield to the
Okay.
mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Forbes, you're at the podium. Please speak loudly so the members that are phoned in can hear you loud and clear. And Councillor Duran, Rivard, and Duffy, can you just mute your phones, please?
Yeah.
So there's no feedback? Thank you.
So, Your Worship,
You're on.
we're on to the application for 203 Fitzroy Street. This had been recently to the planning board where there's a request for 3 major variances to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 18 feet to 13 feet, remove the requirement for 9.8 foot step back from the base building, remove the requirement for the 45 degree angular plane taken from the top of the rear facade of the base building that faces the residential dwellings that are adjacent to it. To permit a 4-story, approximately 44.5 foot modular building containing 28 residential dwelling units and office space on the vacant lot located at 203 Fitzroy Street. And because that they're asking for a density, an additional floor here under the bonusing provisions of the zoning bylaw, that's why this application is here. If you were at the planning board or if you read your report, the reason that they cannot accommodate the requirements in the zoning bylaw dealing for the additional 1 floor is that this is a building that's it's a modular building, and it's being, the funding is accessed through a specific federal program that they have to be modular. And by the virtue of that they're modular, they do interlock together in just a certain manner, and they cannot readily be manipulated. And there is funding available for this 4th floor that came up somewhat recently, and there is some pressure on the Canadian Mental Health Association to get some confirmation from the city that we are okay with this proposal. It is a large lot, and in light of the fact that it's only 1 floor, the provisions that they're seeking relief from are not necessarily significant because it is a large lot. It's the way that it's set on the lot kind of mitigates some of the concerns that we would have if it was on top of other buildings. So in light of that, Your Worship, the staff supported it, the planning board supported it. We're just looking for a recommendation from the council that you are also in support of it. The only caveat is the condition is that it does have a design review element on it because of the nature of the application, and your approval would be subject to a recommendation from the Design Review Board that they find that the design is also acceptable. Thank you, Your Worship.
Your Worship, with that being set up on the floor prior to discussion, so it would be moved by Councilor McLeod, second by Councilor McCabe, that the request for 3 major variances to reduce the minimum required side yard setback from 18 feet to approximately 13 feet, to remove the requirement for a minimum of 9.8 feet step back from the base building, and 3, to remove the requirement for a 45-degree angular plane taken from the top of the rear facade of the base building and that faces the abutting residential dwellings in order to permit a 4-story, approximately 44.5 feet modular building containing 20 residential dwelling units and office space on the vacant lot located at 203 Fitzroy Street, PID number 346486, to be approved subject to the condition that the Design Review Board reviews and supports the proposed building design. Your Worship.
Councillor Yankoff, you represent Ward 1. This falls right in the middle of it, or to the east?
We had a very informative presentation from Emily on this.
And sorry, who's Emily from?
Emily from planning.
Okay, thank you.
It was one of the best presentations we ever had.
Oh,
And one of the documents that she included in it is not in our package today. And I think it would be prudent to not have the rest of council see that, to understand that top level and how it's going to sit compared to what it's not, because it makes it so much clearer, and why it becomes so clear that it's something you would want, or that I want to
Right.
support. I have the image here. Do you have it?
I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I can pass it around on my phone, but really, everyone should have had that. Emily sent it out to me. I asked her to send it out to everyone, and it just showed, you know how we normally have to set back that 3rd floor? Yeah,
could Mr. Kelly,
this is just makes
is it
it so
possible
clear.
to connect her phone to the big screen?
I can email that to you and you
What?
can
Well,
print it.
Terry's already seen it, just mention Kevin and yourself that have to look at it.
Yeah, no, I've seen
And
it.
all the rest of the people on the phone. Okay.
Can you just do a panoramic view?
It's only got a print, Your Worship.
Oh, will you?
There you go, I just sent it,
Oh,
yeah.
thank you.
It's just so helpful, and it just makes this project so clear and in a positive way.
If you want, Your Worship, we can come back to that, Your
We
Worship.
loved it.
But Mr. Kelly, or Mr. Forbes, were there, I can't see, was there any letters of support?
I don't know, there was a couple of letters, one I would regard as neutral, just asking some questions.
Right.
And the other, I'd say they were both more asking questions in regard to, it is somewhat technical in regard to what's happening here,
Right.
and they were just looking for clarity, but, you know, it was my recollection that no one had any significant concern, and was opposed to it, but again,
And Councillor Yankoff, I grew up in that area. My brother lives in the old house, and they're very supportive of it. And it's been an empty lot since 2000. Geez, Dave, I think it was back to the days when Conrad Woolhouse was there.
There
It
were
was
some
back.
questions about trees, but if anyone's been up there lately, there are no trees.
No, but they will be planting trees.
Oh, I know they
Yeah.
plan to plant trees, but there's no trees gonna lose their leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also providing a number of units that are subsidized housing for clients of the Fitzroy Center, which
Yes.
is.
Shawtown, Canadian
When
Mental
we
Health
talk
Association.
about affordable housing, that word, it's real affordable housing, so.
Uh-huh.
And their offices are gonna be there, so they're gonna be in the actual spot, I mean.
And not to put you on the floor, but the council from the area is very supportive of it. You see it as a good project.
I guess we're close enough to the vote now that I don't lose my vote if I
No, good
shift.
point. But I'm just waiting for the photos. Is that all right?
I think to help the discussion we had at planning, basically, it was something that the architect did, it wasn't required, but moving forward, we'd like to see this type of diagram all the time, because it really puts in your mindset as to, like, when you're talking setbacks on the top floor and all this other thing, when you see this 3D image of the complete building from all sides, from an aerial type of view, it really self-explains, you know, the old saying, pictures worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
And I think moving forward, it'd be a good practice for us to suggest design and architect companies to give us that type of view, because it really makes it easy.
Thank you,
That's what we
Mr.
can change, right? We have policy and procedures, so that could be required moving forward. But
Okay.
it certainly does
I saw it.
help eyeball this.
Thanks, Peter, for doing that so quickly.
Thank you. So just take a moment if you want to.
Thank you.
And I think
Thank you, Cindy.
The thing for me on this application was that there was some concern with height and people's privacy, regardless of the required as of right versus the proposed. It's not gonna change the privacy issue.
Yeah.
Because you can see that, either it's the same height, whether they have a little veranda at the top or they have 8 extra apartments, really.
It's the same height.
It is.
That's owned by who?
Canadian Mental
Canadian
Health
Mental
Services.
Canadian Mental Health.
And it falls under the
That's right.
Rapid Housing Program, which is federal funding. Did you call the question, sir?
Question go.
Question's been called. All those in favor, please put up your hand. Counselor Duran,
In favor?
Counselor Duffy,
Yes.
Counselor Rivard.
In favor?
Okay, 8-0.
Your worship.
Thank you.
Moved by Councillor McLeod, second by Councillor McCabe, that the request for a lot consolidation of 1 Haviland Street, PID 999730 and 335026, and parcel A1, portion of PID 626309, be approved, subject to a PIN final survey plan and a new perimeter deed description being registered describing the order boundaries of the consolidated parcels, Your worship.
This is just a consolidation. Is this the CADC issue, sir? Do you want to give some back? Sorry. Go ahead, then, Mr.
Your worship,
Forrest.
this is an application with the Charlottetown Area Development Corporation and Tally's Wharf. There is a seawall at the front of the Tally's Wharf development, and there's been some discussion between the two parties in regard to a seawall that needs to be repaired, and it is the front of the Tally's Wharf development, and CADC has agreed to the condominium association people there that they will convey the actual parcel of land that's in question that contains the seawall back to the condominium association, which will then entitle them to repair the wall, because then it will be on their property. So then there's another part of the consolidation, which is the parking out front of this project. It just all brings it into one. So it's a relatively straightforward application. The parcel that is coming from, the remaining parcel, which is a water lot, will be retained in the hands of the Charlottetown Area Development Corporation in front of Tally's Wharf. So this is just a small sliver along the front.
Question?
Question go.
Question call. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Counselor Duran,
In favor?
Counselor Duffy,
Yes.
Counselor Rivard.
In favor?
Okay, 8-0 with Counselor Rivard absent. Thank you, sir. Okay. Counselor Rivard, can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Yeah, so we're now going on C, so please hang up.
Okay.
Okay, so we need a resolution to go into a closed meeting, correct?
There is a legal piece that needs to be given to Councillor Bishop, and we have a council here, so we're asking to go into closed session before it's dealt with in the public forum. Your worship.
Okay, so if I go under section 119, is it A, B, C, D, E? I have it right here, keep the MGA right by my desk now.
I think it's easy.
What? Worked 30 years as a teacher, never saw the Education Act once.
It's under F, Your worship.
F, okay,
I'll make the motion.
so we have to move into closed section under
119.
Section 119, subsection 1F of the Municipal Government Act, moved by Councillor McLeod, second by Councillor Ramsey. All those in favor, please put up your hand. Councillor Duran, yea or nay?
Sure.
Councillor Duffy?
Yay.
Councillor Twill? No. Okay, 6-1. Okay?
Okay,